Okay, here we are in American government class. We're going to be talking today about English common law. You'll find that on page 35 in your books. It defines English common law there as a non codified form of law. Non codified means that it isn't written down anywhere. So it's law that is based on people's customs, and it's based on the traditions of people, and it's uh, not written down. A good example: let's say that I steal your cow, and you take me to court for stealing your cow, and the judge finds me guilty of stealing your cow, and the judge has to mete out punishment to me for cow stealing. He may look back through the records of 100, 150 years to find out what other judges have done to cow thieves. So I have been convicted of stealing a cow. I have been punished for stealing a cow, and all of that without the first written law. It's just common law. That's the way English government works today. England doesn't have a constitution, and English common law is the foundation of American government, and it's the foundation of our laws. There's three individuals that your book talks about who are important when it comes to English common law. The first one is Henry de Bracton. Henry de Bracton is called the father of the common law, and he was the first to write commentary on the British common law. His big thing is that he wrote that the king is under God and he is under law. That the king is not above the law. He can't break the law without facing the consequences. So the rule of law is greater than rule by human beings. A second one is Sir Edward Cokeman, who wrote this book called The Institutes of the Common Law, and he talked about the Christian roots behind the common law. He came up with this idea of the law of nature, and that there are just certain laws that everyone knows is right and everyone knows is wrong. Everyone knows that it's wrong to do murder. Everyone knows that it's wrong to take something that's not yours. Everyone knows that it's wrong to lie or to give false testimony in a court of law. All of that stuff is just commonly understood. And it's what our founding fathers were talking about in the Declaration of Independence, where Thomas Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." He said, "We hold these to be self evident." He doesn't say that they're written down anywhere. It's just that they're self evident and we know what they are. They're a part of that uh, common law that's immutable, it's unchangeable, even though it's not written down. A third important person is Sir William Blackstone. He, like Coke, believed in this moral law, this natural law, but he taught and he believed that the revealed law of God was greater than the natural law that human beings just understand by themselves. So we have these laws that everyone can know. It's wrong to kill, it's wrong to steal. But if it's revealed from God, that's even greater. King Henry II, who ruled England from 1154 to 1189, laid the foundation for trial by jury. Up until that point, there were either judges or there were local authorities like a duke or an earl that you brought your grievances to, and they decided it. They were nobility. Well, what does the nobility know about common people? They don't know much. And so King Henry II came up with this idea of a trial by a jury of your peers, people that are just like you. And a trial by jury was a whole lot better than what they had before, because a lot of times you did trial by ordeal. A trial by ordeal was, for instance, you're accused of being a witch. Your ordeal is that we're going to put weights on your ankles and throw you in the river. And if you're able to come out of that ordeal alive, then you're a witch. But if you die, you're not a witch. Not a very good way of doing business, because if you're innocent, it's bad news, you're going to die. And the other is trial by combat, where I accuse you of something and you say, oh, no, I didn't do that. And so you and I fight. And if I win, then I'm right. And if you win, then you're right. This idea of a trial by jury was just an advancement over those two. The British government slowly began to develop a representative type of government. It was first very limited. The king was in charge, but he would have a council of advisors. The nobility, other people who owned land in the country, would be his advisors. Priests from the church would be his advisors. But slowly, all of this representative government developed into a Bill of Rights for the people, or an English Bill of Rights. When the Anglo-Saxons ruled in England about 1,000 years ago, they ruled with a king, but also with something called a witan, W-I-T-A-N. It's mentioned on page 37 in your books. And this is a council of, quote, wise men, the people who owned land, the nobility, and the clergy, and they would aid the king in making decisions on finding guilt or innocence and things like that. That limited the king to a certain degree. Well, in 1066, the Normans from France invaded England. They conquered England, and they replaced the witan with something called the Magisterium Concilium, or the Great Council. This was made up of the king's vassals, his underlings, and it soon came to be known as the King's Court. Again, an advisory role. They couldn't keep the king from doing anything, but still it was pressure on the king to do the will of the people. In 1625, there was a step toward representative government when this meeting of the Great Council, these people who were landowners and the clergy, came to be referred to as Parliament. And in that year, there was an English nobleman, one of these people who was on the council, one of these people who had land, named Simon de Montfort. He overthrew the English government, and he set up a type of representative government where the people would all sit together, the nobles and the clergymen, in this great council. And your book says this was the first meeting of Parliament and the beginning of representative government in England. We'll have more to say about that, and I'll finish out this section of the chapter tomorrow. Hopefully that may have answered help you answer some of the questions in the section review and in the identify. If you have any questions, put them on here and I'll see if I can't answer them. God bless.